For years, fans thought these were just ordinary performances, ordinary interviews, ordinary moments on screen. They weren't, because some of the people behind them already knew they were dying, and still they showed up. Once you know what they were carrying, you will never see them the same way again. Number 1. Patrick Swayze. January 2008. The diagnosis came back as pancreatic cancer, stage 4, and his doctors gave him weeks to months, not years. He was 55 years old, and he had just signed on to lead a brand new television series for A&E. He told almost nobody, and then he went to work. What most viewers watching The Beast never knew, and this is the part that stops you, is that Swayze was refusing painkillers throughout the entire shoot. He said they would dull his edge, that they would take something away from the performance. So he showed up to set, day after day, while undergoing chemotherapy, and he delivered. He wasn't obligated to. The pilot had already been filmed. He chose to continue. In January 2009, with the cancer spreading to his liver and his frame visibly diminished, he sat down with Barbara Walters and told the world what was happening. On live television at the Stand Up to Cancer broadcast, he said, "I keep dreaming of a future with a long and healthy life, not lived in the shadow of cancer, but in the light." He died on the 14th of September 2009 at his ranch in California, with his wife Lisa Nemi at his side. They had been together since she was 14 years old, taking dance lessons from his mother. On the Friday evening before he slipped into a coma, he spoke his final words to her. She wrote about them in her memoir. 3 words, "I love you," and those were his last. There is no headstone for Patrick Swayze. His ashes were scattered over his beloved New Mexico ranch, open land and sky, the place he always said felt most like home. Number 2. Farrah Fawcett. 12 million copies of that red swimsuit poster were sold. It made her the most recognizable woman on the planet for a decade. But by 2006, all of that felt like somebody else's life. She was diagnosed with anal cancer, and when conventional treatment began to fail, she flew to Germany repeatedly for experimental procedures that weren't yet approved in the United States. She was trying everything she could find. Then she turned on the cameras. Her documentary, Farrah's Story, didn't just mention the cancer, it filmed it. The treatments, the hospital visits, the day she decided to shave her own head rather than let the chemotherapy take it from her, because she wanted to be the one in control of that moment. Her oncologist later said she never once asked why this had happened to her. She simply wanted to show the world what cancer actually looked like, because she believed that what people didn't see, they couldn't fight. In her final hours, she was at St. John's Health Center in Los Angeles. Her son Redmond was on her mind. He was in prison at the time, struggling with addiction, and she had spent years trying to reach him through all of it. The last word she spoke, before she slipped away on June 25, 2009, was his name, Redmond. She was 62 years old. Today she rests at Pierce Brothers Westwood Village Memorial Park in Los Angeles, the same storied cemetery that holds Marilyn Monroe, Dean Martin, and Natalie Wood. When Ryan O'Neal, her partner of decades, died in 2023, he was interred alongside her. They are together there now, at the southern end of the park, perhaps the most quietly romantic burial arrangement in Hollywood. Number 3. Chadwick Boseman. In 2016, he was diagnosed privately with colon cancer and told almost no one, not his director, not most of his castmates, not the public. And then, over the next 4 years, while undergoing surgeries and rounds of chemotherapy, he filmed Black Panther, Avengers, Infinity War, Avengers Endgame, Da 5 Bloods, and Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. The physical demands of those films, the stunt work, the suit, the transformation into T'Challa, were extraordinary for a healthy actor. He was doing all of it while his body was quietly breaking down. Ryan Coogler, who directed Black Panther, said after his death that he had no idea. He wrote that Boseman showed up as a caretaker, as a leader, shielding everyone around him from whatever he was carrying inside. In one of his final weeks, Boseman sent a text to producer Nate Moore. The two had been working to send a voice message from T'Challa to a young boy with terminal illness, a Make-A-Wish arrangement, complicated by the pandemic, but they had made it happen. The text Boseman sent afterward read, "People deserve abundant life, special moments. They've been through hell battling disease. If we were able to ease their suffering and bring joy for a moment, we made a difference. He wrote that while he was the one with the disease. His final tweet, posted weeks before he died, said nothing about himself. It urged people to vote. Chadwick Boseman died on August 28, 2020, at his home in Los Angeles. He was 43 years old. He was buried on September 3rd at Welfare Baptist Church Cemetery in Belton, South Carolina, 11 miles from his hometown of Anderson. On the same evening, the town held an outdoor screening of Black Panther, with children dressed in costume to honor him. The world he had created, projected into the night sky of the place that made him. Number 4. David Bowie. For 18 months he was dying, and nobody knew. The liver cancer diagnosis came in mid-2014, and from the moment it arrived, he made a decision that was entirely, perfectly Bowie. He would not stop making art. He would not announce anything. He would not give the world a chance to pity him or watch him diminish. He would create something, and then he would let the work speak. In secret, in New York City, he gathered a group of jazz musicians he had never worked with before, and began recording what would become Black Star. He was 70% deaf in one ear by this point, working through exhaustion and treatment, because working was the only response he knew to anything. On January 8, 2016, his 69th birthday, Black Star was released. Nobody understood what they were hearing. Critics praised it as a bold new direction. The album opened with a 10-minute track, and one of the songs was called Lazarus. Its video showing Bowie in a hospital bed with bandages over his eyes and the words, "Look up here, I'm in heaven," across the opening seconds. 2 days later, he was gone. His producer, Tony Visconti, wrote, "In a tribute that circulated around the world that morning, he made Black Star for us, his parting gift. His death was no different from his life, a work of art." There was no funeral. Bowie had requested that. He was cremated privately in New Jersey on January 12th, with no family present. His will, written 12 years earlier, specified that his ashes be scattered in Bali, in accordance with Buddhist ritual. He had fallen in love with the island on holiday with Iggy Pop in the early 1980s, and it had stayed with him ever since. His family honored that wish quietly, with no photographs and no announcement. There is no grave for David Bowie. No stone to visit. He is somewhere on the wind over Bali, which feels, in its own way, exactly right. Number 5. Alan Rickman. If you grew up with Harry Potter, you grew up with Alan Rickman. And for the first several films, many of you probably weren't quite sure you liked him. That was the point. Severus Snape was designed to be doubted, and Rickman played that ambiguity with a precision that, looking back now, feels almost unbearable. In 2005, he was diagnosed with prostate cancer, had surgery, and told almost nobody. He went back to work. He wrote in his diary at the time, "The argument that wins is the one that says, 'See it through. It's your story.'" So he stayed in the Harry Potter films all the way through to Deathly Hallows, because he understood something about Snape's arc that his castmates didn't. J.K. Rowling had told him privately how the story ended, years before the final books were published, so he could play the character with the full weight of what Snape actually was. He kept that secret for a decade. Then in August 2015, a minor stroke led to further investigation, and the news came back as pancreatic cancer, aggressive and late stage. He told his family and almost no one else. He completed Eye in the Sky, a tense military drama in which he plays a general grappling with an impossible moral decision. It was his final film role. He died on January 14, 2016, in London, aged 69, after a private cremation at the West London Crematorium in Kensal Green. His ashes remained with his wife Rima Horton, his partner of more than 50 years. She later published his diaries posthumously under the title Madly, Deeply. Daniel Radcliffe, who had grown up on set alongside him, said he was the most encouraging person he had ever met in the industry. There is no grave to visit for Alan Rickman, but there are 26 diary volumes, some illustrated in his own hand, beginning in 1972. He kept them his entire adult life, and the last entry is dated December 2015, just weeks before he died. A man who had been watching himself and recording what he saw, right up until near the very end. Number 6. Roger Ebert. On the morning of April 4, 2013, Roger Ebert was scheduled to go home. He had spent months in hospital. The cancer had taken his voice years earlier, surgery after surgery, until the jaw was gone and speaking was impossible. The man who had built a career on the sound of his opinions now communicated through a computer, through scribbled notes, through hand signals. A thumbs up meant yes. That morning, his wife Chaz leaned in and whispered, "We're going home." He wrote on a piece of paper, "Home?" And then he gave her the thumbs up. She walked out to let the nurses help him dress. When she came back in, he looked at her, smiled, and put his head down. The doctors rushed in. He was gone. He was 70 years old. 2 days before, he had published what would become his final piece of writing, a post announcing a leave of presence from regular reviewing after 46 years as a film critic. He wrote that he intended to keep going, keep writing, keep watching films. He just didn't quite make it. For years, the internet has circulated claims that Ebert is buried at Graceland Cemetery in Chicago. He is not. His ashes were returned to his family, and their location has never been publicly disclosed. Chaz has never said, which is, perhaps, as it should be. He lived his whole life in public. The ending belongs to them. Number 7. Steve Jobs. In 2003, doctors found a rare form of pancreatic cancer, not the aggressive kind that takes most patients within months, but a slower-moving type that gave him time. Though, as Jobs would come to understand better than most, time is not the same thing as certainty. At that point, Apple was entering the most important period in its history. The iPod was already reshaping the music industry, and behind closed doors, something bigger was taking shape. Most people had no idea that while he was helping design the future, he was also sitting in doctors' offices trying to understand his own. The iPhone arrived. The App Store changed software forever. Apple became the most valuable company on earth, and throughout all of it, questions about his health followed him constantly. Every visible weight loss became a headline. Years later, people returned to his 2005 Stanford commencement address and heard it differently. When he spoke about remembering that death is coming for all of us, that was not philosophy. He was speaking from experience. "Your time is limited," he told those students. "Don't waste it living someone else's life." Steve Jobs died on October 5, 2011, at his home in Palo Alto, California. He was 56 years old. He was buried at Alta Mesa Memorial Park in Palo Alto, intentionally unmarked, resting quietly among thousands of others. No monument, no inscription, just earth. Number 8. Olivia Newton-John. In 1992, she was diagnosed with breast cancer at 43 years old. The treatment worked, and for many years it seemed she had beaten it. She went back to performing, to recording, to the warmth that audiences had always found effortless in her. Then the cancer came back, and then it came back again. Through all of it, she didn't hide. She spoke about fear and uncertainty and hope with an honesty that many people found genuinely comforting. While facing her own recurrences, she spent years supporting cancer research and walking alongside patients fighting the same fight. Friends who visited toward the end said she never stopped being interested in other people, that she would ask how you were, and mean it. Olivia Newton-John died on August 8, 2022, at her ranch in Rancho Santa Fe, Southern California. She was 73 years old. Her ashes were scattered across the property she had loved, the gardens, the natural land surrounding the house, a private farewell on the grounds she had called home. Number 9. Val Kilmer. In the 1990s, he could become almost anyone. Jim Morrison, Doc Holliday, Batman. Directors praised his commitment, and audiences remembered performances that stayed with them long after leaving the cinema. In 2015, he was diagnosed with throat cancer, and the treatments that saved his life also permanently damaged his vocal cords. A tracheotomy made speaking difficult, and by his final years, he was largely bedridden, his health deteriorating steadily, though he kept working for as long as he could. What he left behind is not what anyone would have predicted. Those decades of home movies and footage he had gathered across his career became the documentary Val, a deeply personal record of who he was when the cameras weren't rolling, less a celebrity documentary and more a final act of self-portrait. There is a small detail that belongs to his story. On the last day of filming Tombstone in 1993, his co-star Kurt Russell gave him a gift, a real burial plot at Boot Hill Cemetery in Tombstone, Arizona, where the Cowboys gang from the OK Corral shootout were buried. In exchange, Kilmer had given Russell an acre of land overlooking that same graveyard. Russell later said, "Doc Holliday was all about death. Wyatt's all about life." I guess that pretty much says it all. Val Kilmer died on April 1, 2025, in Los Angeles, age 65, and was cremated 6 days later. His family has not publicly disclosed where his ashes rest. The city of Tombstone has placed a cenotaph, a memorial marker, at the cemetery plot Kurt Russell once gifted him, honoring the man whose portrayal of Doc Holliday helped preserve that town's history. He is not interred there, but it may be the most fitting tribute imaginable, a grave without a body, for an actor who spent his whole life becoming someone else. Number 10. Randy Pausch. In August 2007, the pancreatic cancer had spread, and doctors believed he had only a few months left to live. He was 46 years old, married, and raising 3 young children. A few weeks later, Carnegie Mellon University asked him to give what academics sometimes call a last lecture, a hypothetical talk about what wisdom you would share if you knew your time was running out. For Randy Pausch, there was nothing hypothetical about it. The lecture was titled "Really Achieving Your Childhood Dreams," and what surprised the audience was how little time he spent talking about death. Instead, he talked about curiosity, about failure, about the importance of helping other people reach their goals. He joked with the crowd, did push-ups on stage to prove he wasn't seeking pity, and somehow managed to make the room laugh. Millions watched it online and it became a best-selling book. Only later did many viewers understand what the lecture actually was, a message to his children, something they could return to long after he was gone. Every story he told, every lesson he shared, he was talking to them. Randy Pausch died on July 25, 2008, at the age of 47. He was buried at Virginia Memorial Park in Forest, Virginia, a man who knew exactly how much time he had left and chose to spend it thinking about everyone else.